Good morning. It's Monday, October 14th. I'm Karen Hamstra, and welcome to Title Talk from Marion Public Library. I want to show you 3 new audiobooks that are coming your way this week. First of all, we have the newest one by Jojo Moyes, The Giver of Stars. This is a really hot book, and it's about a British woman who feels like she's stifling in British society, so she moves to Kentucky, and that's a real surprise for her too. So if you want to read all about that, The Giver of Stars. Meg Mitchell Moore has a new one called The Islanders, and we also have that in audiobook. Let's see. It's about Anthony Puckett, who was a rising literary star. He's the son of a famous thriller writer, and Anthony's debut novel spent 2 years on the bestseller list. But then something went really wrong with his second work, and now he's borrowing an old college friend's crumbling house on Block Island in the hopes that solitude will get him back to the person he used to be. Meg Mitchell Moore, The Islanders. And then we have one by Sarah Smarsh. This is a nonfiction book, Heartland, a memoir of working hard and being broke in the richest country on earth. And you can probably kind of guess what that one is about. And then we have some hot new books coming your way too. Elizabeth Strout's newest is back. This is the sequel to Olive Kittredge. I'll get my tongue in gear pretty soon here. And as you can see, it is called Olive Again. I know I read Olive Kittredge years ago, and it was a really good book. Olive has returned as indomitable as ever, navigating her next decade and the changes, sometimes welcome, sometimes not, in her own life. And she's in her second marriage, which finds her really confident. And she's in an evolving relationship with her son and his family, and she's on it. So, Elizabeth Strout, Olive Again. G.A. McKevitt has a new mystery, Murder in the Corn Maze. These are quite humorous mysteries. They take place down south. Then they talk about the Magnolia Detective Agency, and they take place in the little town of McGill, Georgia. And of course, this one is no doubt a Halloween mystery, so it's very timely for this season of year. The newest one by Suzanne Woods Fisher is out, Stitches in Time. This is the third in a trilogy about Luke, whose last name escapes me. The first two were Mending Fences. Oh no, this is only the second one, I'm sorry. Mending Fences and then Stitches in Time. The Deacon's Family is the series, and Luke Schrock, that's his name. And there's a new school teacher in Stony Ridge, and Luke Schrout is now a deacon, which is totally astonishing. If you have not read Suzanne Woods Fisher, these are like the comedic Amish novels. They're just hilarious in places. So I highly recommend these. She is one of my favorite authors. Stitches in Time, Suzanne Woods Fisher. Hot author Debbie Maycomer has a new Mrs. Miracle book. It's just in time for Christmas. Mrs. Miracle Christmas. All the Christmas books are starting to come in. This is about a couple who has tried to have a baby for a long time, and Mrs. Miracle appears at their door, and she is no stranger to lending a helping hand to families in need. So, if you've read any of the Mrs. Miracle books, you know that they are just charming, and Debbie Maycomer is also just always a great author. So we have that available for you. Irene Hannon also has a new book out called Dark Ambitions. This is also part of a series. This is the Code of Honor. It's book 3 in the Code of Honor series. I have read the first 2 books in the series, and they're spellbinding. You would really enjoy these. This one is about former Army Night Stalker Rick Jordan. He has a camp for foster children, which is usually deserted in the winter, but someone has visited recently and they left a trail of blood. That is never a good thing. One of the two clues left behind tips Rick off to the identity of his visitor, who soon turns up dead. The police deem it an accident, but Luke isn't convinced. With the help of private investigator Heather Shields, he sets out to decipher the remaining clue, except someone doesn't want them to succeed and will stop at nothing to keep them from finding the truth. Irene Hannon just gets all kinds of kudos as a mystery writer. So if you like mysteries, give her a try. Here we have a horror novel called A Cosmology of Monsters by Sean Hamill. This comes highly recommended by people like Stephen King. If you like horror novels, could you go wrong on a book recommended by Stephen King? No, I don't think you could. It's about Noah Turner, who sees monsters. His father saw monsters, and the father built a shrine to them. And his practical mother has caught glimpses of terrors but refuses to believe, too focused on keeping her family from falling apart. His brilliant older sister Eunice can't exorcise them from her mind, no matter how many versions of the story she commits to paper. And his eldest sister, the dramatic and vulnerable Sydney, won't admit to seeing anything but the beckoning glow of the spotlight until it swallows her up. Noah Turner sees monsters, but unlike his family, Noah chooses to let them in. It's by Sean Hamill. Then I have a couple of historical fiction books. Karen Campbell, The Sound of the Hours. This is a British book, but the New York Times also really liked it. They say Campbell is a vivid, distinctive writer who creates characters and stories we care about. This takes place in September of 1943 in Tuscany in Italy. The Germans are occupying the mountains around this woman's home, and the American Buffalo Soldiers are preparing to invade. So the main character is Vittorio Guidi. Vittorio's country is torn in two, and so is her conscience. Should she side with her Scots-Italian father or her fascist mother? Should she do what she is told or what she believes in? And then Frank Chappell, a young Black American soldier fighting with the Buffalo Soldiers for a country that refuses him the vote, is unlike anyone Vittorio ever has met. And in the chaos, they find each other, but can their growing love overcome prejudice and war? And then perhaps the hottest book of the week is the new book by Heather Morris, Silke's Journey. Heather Morris is the author of The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I'm a little slow on the draw sometimes. I just finished The Tattooist of Auschwitz last week. So I am totally have my memory current, and I'm ready to read Silke's Journey. This is a sequel in a way because Silke is one of the characters from the Tattooist book, and this just follows her story. She's just 16 years old when she's taken to Auschwitz-Birkenau in 1942, and she is the one who the commandant noticed immediately how beautiful she was, and I believe she's the one who was allowed to not have to have her head shaved, but she kept her long, beautiful blonde hair. And even the book shows that there can be beauty even in horrible circumstances inside with that photograph. It's kind of unusual and neat. So you might want to get your name on the list for this if you enjoyed the first book. So I wish you a happy reading week, happy Columbus Day, and I'll see you next week.